doesn't always come up. There we go. Right, just so I can get it onto the tube of the Youb. Right, here we go. We'll try that again. So, I want to talk about understanding your hunger cues and how to use them to your advantage because there is a massive advantage in learning how to accurately identify real and true hunger cues and not just what your mind is telling you. But before we do, massive shout out to Chloe. I know she obviously shared this in the community chat, but the unassisted pull ups, we've got some serious pull ups going on inside the Strong Her program at the moment. Like that, like we've got Mary doing them, we've got Dina doing them, Chloe doing them. Like you guys are absolutely smashing them. So this is amazing to see. And this is it's not an easy goal to accomplish by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one of those where it's a true master of exactly what you can be capable of. And when it happens, it is sensational to see happen. Jojo, obviously, massive congratulations. So, Jojo got married at the weekend. It looked incredible. And then Sarah is getting married this weekend. So, I thought we would do some slightly different wins this week, but all incredible, massive achievements across the board. So, well done, legends. But what I want to talk about, like I say, is hunger, what it actually means, how you can identify it, and how you can use it to your advantage rather than fearing it, which I know a lot of women do before they step foot in this program, and or potentially even ignoring the cues altogether. Now, as all of you know, I have for the last, oh, I don't even know how many years now, a long time, a hot minute. I have not tracked for many, many years. Now, there are several things that work to my advantage, one of which I'm not that creative with my nutrition. Okay, so that's the first clue there. I usually rotate very, very similar. I have the same breakfast. It doesn't even go on rotate. Aside from a little bit like the brunch I shared on my stories at the weekend, that's a little bit of an anomaly that might slip in every now and again. It's very, very rare that I will rotate away from my breakfast. Lunches, so today I did rotate a little bit. I actually had a frittata slash omelette. I feel like they're the same thing. I actually don't really know the difference. But loads of veggies with some ham in there. Obviously, a couple of eggs. Made that with a side of sourdough toast. That's it. Other days, it will just be the high protein skewers that you get from Aldi with a bit of a Caesar salad, maybe a bit of rice, or it's my leftover dinner. Same for dinners, they're on rotation. I probably don't cook more than 15 different dishes and they're just on rotation. That's literally my life. So it majorly helps with tracking because I've already done the work. I already know pretty much to the gram exactly what my food is. But the other thing, whether I'm bulking or whether I'm cutting, and this is more specific if you're going through a cut, I will listen to my hunger cues, and that is what guides me on when I am actually going to eat throughout the day, with the exception being breakfast. That's pretty much very, and we do wake up at very similar times every single day, whether it's a weekend, whether it's a day at like a weekday, it doesn't really matter. But I have learned how to listen to my hunger cues so that I can actually do the loop of going through a cut, even if I'm not tracking. So there is a lot of power when you can actually get this right. So why does it matter? So a huge amount of women have lost touch with their body's natural hunger signs. Through years of dieting, rushing meals, emotional eating, boredom eating, like all of these different things, you can lose touch with your body about that. Or when you go into a deficit and you freak out thinking, fuck, oh my God, like I just feel permanently hungry, there are some benefits to actually understanding your hunger cues. So they are going to help you in a fat loss phase dramatically. It is a little bit different in a reverse diet phase because your hunger levels will spike up dramatically when your metabolism starts speeding up, as will your hunger levels. But this is also the same if you go into a surplus. So any of you guys who actually do ever want to bulk in the future, again, it kind of shifts that picture. Or If you've completely lost touch with your hunger cues, you've ended up falling into the obesity category, the morbidly obese category for a number of different reasons. Again, you can lose touch with what that should actually look like. But again, muscle retention, energy levels, your relationship with food and nutrition as well. This is key from moving away to dieting to actually living in tune with your body. So we want to stop fearing that hunger so you can start to actually trust your body and your own cues again. So, what are hunger cues? Now, it sounds really fucking obvious, doesn't it? But a lot of the time, it genuinely isn't. But it's your body's physical and psychological signals that tell you, I'm actually needing a little bit of fuel inside of me. They can come from hormones like your ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and leptin, the fullness hormone. So, they're basically working in tandem to try and actually get you to where you want to be. The cues fluctuate naturally throughout the day and throughout the month, throughout the week, and all different phases of where you're at based on things like your sleep, stress, activity levels, menstrual cycle, and obviously, even when you've eaten, hunger levels are going to fluctuate and shift. Now, I'm doing quite a lot of work with some of the women in the program at the minute where their sleep and stress, so sleep is exceptionally low due to the nature of what they do for their career and huge projects, huge requirements, working with other parts of the world where, again, they're having to work on slightly different time zones. Stress levels extraordinarily high at the minute while we get them through that point. So this is all kind of playing into it with the snacky Sally that comes out. And I'm glad we don't have anyone in the program called Sally. If we do, I'm gonna have to change that terminology. I'll be like, nope, we're not doing a Karen. I'm not doing that again. We need to change the name. But for now, I can get away with it. But different examples of cues. So physical, stomach grumbling, emptiness, low energy, headaches, shaking, like really low kind of sugar levels where you feel like, oh my God, where you're crashing. Emotional, so irritability. This is where the hanger comes into play, loss of focus and cravings as well. So I wanted to show you the hunger fullness scale. So if we take the example of one is like, I am ravenous, I'm going to eat my fucking arm. You will have all been there at some point or another where you literally feel like you can see it in your body, in your mind, in your emotions, like everything starts to come out when you are on that end of the low scale versus completely opposite where you are painfully full. You'll have all been there as well where you go, oh my God, you're going to have to roll me out of this restaurant like a bowling ball because I have way overdone it here and I know I'm over the level of full. And you think that last bite did it. It probably wasn't the last bite. It was the few before that, but it's that feeling of going, I don't want to leave food on my plate, especially if you were raised in that way as well. So some parents do teach that you do not leave the dinner table unless every single thing on your plate is cleared. And this again can come all the way back to childhood where you don't realize these triggers can actually be there underlying everything that's going on and you've just never made that correlation. So all the way on both ends of that spectrum. So most of us actually eat reactively. So where we're at a one or a two. So you wait until you are absolutely starving before then actually considering, right, okay, maybe I should eat now, rather than the way that we should actually be thinking about this. And then again, you potentially keep eating until the point where you are over full, and that's not doing you any favors either. So what we want to do is try and get every single one of you to live your life between a 3 and a 7. These are the points where that's the sweet spot to go, right, okay, sometimes we're going to be living in a 5 and it's going to be lovely and we're just straight down the middle. But then we're going to move slightly towards that gently hungry phase. And then when we eat, we want to go towards the comfortably satisfied phase. So we want to stay within that sort of range and eating when we get to that gentle hunger and then stop when we feel comfortably satisfied. So if you don't need to clear every morsel on your plate, then we can leave food if you feel like that's the right thing to do and adjust portion sizes accordingly. So what this is doing, it's going to help regulate appetite, digestion, and portion control naturally. So if you can start to really tune into this kind of scale, I promise you, it is going to serve you alongside the tracking, alongside getting the macros as accurate as we can. But this is another tool at our disposal that I just think so many people overlook. So put it in the chat. I won't be able to see it. No, at this moment in time, I don't think I could never work out how to do this. But pop it in the chat. Like, what number would you say? And there's no shame in this, by the way, no shade in just being completely honest. But when do you normally start eating? And when do you feel like you normally stop eating? So if we're going to take that scale, are you waiting until you are absolutely starving and ravenous before you take like some food and actually go down that route? And then are you potentially overfilling yourself as well? And another great example here is to think about when I go out for restaurants or dinners, or do you know what I mean? If I'm not in control of the food necessarily, that like the portion control. So we've got quite a few women, it all happening at once at the moment, where there's a lot of women traveling to America at the moment. And again, that's one of the first things that we are consistently hearing. Portions absolutely enormous. And this is again that consideration of going, right, okay, if I can work out when I'm comfortably satisfied, I can put a pin in it at that point, and I don't just have to eat these enormous American portions. So I wanted to show you the difference between physical and emotional hunger. So physical hunger is going to come on gradually. Emotional hunger is going to come on suddenly. Two major differences of being able to identify the speed in which the hunger is actually hitting you, which is going to leave clues as to whether it's a true hunger or whether it's your brain telling you this narrative and it's actually emotional hunger. So, is it felt in the stomach? Yes. If you are physically hungry, you get that rumbly stomach, and that's where the feeling actually stems from. Emotional hunger, probably not. It's probably not actually stemming from the stomach. Satisfied by food, yes. If it's a physical hunger, you will be able to take that satisfying feeling of going, yeah, you know what, I'm moving towards being full now, I'm eating. Whereas emotional hunger is usually craving specific foods. So this is where I don't feel satisfied unless I have chocolate. I don't feel satisfied unless I have a sweet good or whatever it might be, a packet of crisps. It could be completely different things for different people. Physical hunger will stop when full. So when you move up that trajectory of going, right, I am feeling a lot fuller now, the physical hunger will dissipate and then you will feel more satisfied. Emotional hunger, again, usually not. That can lead to overeating. Linked to emotion or stress, physical hunger, no, it's not. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a physical feeling. Emotional hunger, 9 times out of 10, is usually linked to emotional stress. One other one is usually boredom, and just habit eating. That's the other thing. So again, if you can start to look at this, and by all means take a screenshot of this if it's something you struggle with, so you can have it in your mind and go, right, okay, that actually makes sense, because you can actually have a bit of a tick box when you're feeling these things to work through and go, okay, which actually is it right now? Can I identify where my hunger cues are actually coming from? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. So, what does affect hunger cues? So, like we mentioned, sleep. So, less than 6 hours sleep is significantly spiking your hunger hormones. And what it's also doing is reducing the hormone that produces the feeling of being full. So this is when somebody is immediately saying, I'm really struggling with snacky Sally, or really feeling like I'm emotional eating, I'm doing all of these things. One of the first things we're going to look at, and this is why it's also a question in your check-ins and your daily check-ins as well, is to look at that sleep quality. What level of sleep are we getting? Now, I know some of you guys have got extremely young children, or you've, like I say, you're working completely random hours, or shift workers as well. We've got as well inside of this program where sleep can sometimes be a completely disrupted pattern. That's something that we're going to have to look at because that is going to be one of the foundations that we can work on. Stress. So, cortisol, again, playing an enormous part in increasing those cravings and emotional eating. So, we always want to think, right, how stressed am I at the moment? Is there something I can do to anti stress? And usually, yeah, building in a walk into your day, building in some sunlight hours. This is a big thing at the moment. And I mentioned it on several check ins on Friday to try and actually utilize your lunch break if the weather is kind to get outside. It's immediately going to make you feel better than sitting behind a screen all day long. Those are the kind of things that help. You all know I'm a big reader. It pisses Thomas off no end because he wants to sit and watch something on the TV. I usually don't want to sit and watch something on the TV. I want to digest into a good book that takes my brain to a different dimension. I'm living in their world, not my world. And their world is, I mean, there might be stress in it, but it's not my stress. I'm living their stress, and that definitely helps. Menstrual cycle, all of you guys, whether perimenopause, whether you are, do you know what I mean, like ovulating, whether you've got PCOS and your periods are disjointed, you will notice the hunger often rises during that luteal phase, during the higher energy needs. When your body is delivering another job, you start to notice Snacky Sally, she starts to make an appearance at that time of the month. So again, it's about building that in or acknowledging and accepting it, going, okay, this does happen for me. And weirdly, for me, it's not every month. I don't have this every single month. Sometimes it's worse than others, which probably actually means it's more stress related or lack of sleep related, potentially more over than hormonal related. But you will know the cycle months where you go, and even if you're on the pill, you might not feel it as much because you are getting a slightly more constant hormonal artificial replacement. Same if you do go on HRT, you might not notice it as much because you've got that constant feeding of the hormones. On a natural cycle, it's probably going to be flared a little bit more, but I am on a natural cycle. And like I say, I don't notice it all of the time, but the other week I think it was a twofold actually. So obviously on holiday, we all like to let loose a little bit more, don't we? We like to have a little bit more of the things that we wouldn't usually have. And because I got so sick, that was just not available to me. So I felt like I missed out on a bulk. I felt like I came back lighter than I fucking went. And I was fuming about that. I was like, no, that was not my goal. And then I went to the post office. There was an enormous, like 20-person queue inside this little, like, newspaper shop. And then I was like, oh, pork scratchings. Oh, I've not had those in a hot minute. You know what? I think, yeah, I'm going to have some pork scratchings. Oh, there's some sweets there. Oh, I haven't had a refresher bar in a while. I'm going to pick up the refreshers bar. And I was like, fuck you, shop. Fuck you and your queue. Because now I've spent £5 on shit that I did not need. And I think it was probably a mixture of hormones, sleep, trying to get back into a sleep pattern, and also accepting. I was actually going, I'm okay with this. You know what? I didn't get to have a great time on this holiday that I spent a fuck ton of money going on. So you know what? I'm going to eat the fucking pork scratchings. But I was okay with that feeling, genuinely. But it was there and it did happen. Now, if I hadn't have gone to that store, and there's a lesson in there as well, I wouldn't have bought them. I wouldn't have had them. So if you don't buy it in, you're way less inclined to be able to be a snacky Sally than if you put yourself in that situation. I did have to send a birthday card. I can't just be like, well, I'm never going to do that, or send Thomas, it'll never get done. But this is the thing, trying to mitigate around it as much as possible. So, meal composition. Protein and fiber keeping you fuller for longer. Now, we will bang on about this until the cows come home, but protein does have the highest level of satiation qualities, which means it's going to keep you satisfied for as long as possible. So, the more we can keep that protein in and keep it coming throughout the day, rather than pile it on at certain points and then miss out in the rest of the day, the more we can spread it out, the better it'll synthesize and process throughout your body. It's also going to help with the muscle building piece. It's going to help with the recovery piece, but it's also going to help you in a calorie deficit piece. So there are huge benefits to protein. Like that, one of the most powerful building blocks that every single one of you, if we get that right, changes the game. But fiber as well. We have to make sure we're getting those veggies in, guys. And you can, yes, you can get fiber from oats, from granola, from all of these different places, but veggies are going to be your best friend. They're really low bang for your buck in terms of calories to quantity. So you're getting a huge amount of quantity and you don't have to spend many calories on it. Hydration. So thirst can, although this one is questionable because the studies are starting to show the other way now, but there is still some theory behind this that if you think you are hungry, drinking water can trick your brain into thinking that something is passing your lips, even though there's no calories to it. So trying to make sure that you are hitting hydration. And again, for me, that one, very little excuses on. Nobody can say I'm too busy to literally pick up your glass of water and drink it. To track your hunger, like you track your workouts, every single one of you will be completely different. Every single one of you will be slightly different on when those scales start to tip. So that 1 to 10 scale, like I say, for me, I usually have a Rice Krispie square bar before the gym, usually about, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning. I'm training around 7, come back. I will have my breakfast shake about that point. I can usually make it through to lunchtime and stretch that gap if I'm in a deficit without having like an 11 snack. If I need it, I can afford it, but I can usually make it to, and my hunger cues are spiking around midday. That's when they're going, oh, hello. And I'm thinking, oh, I can feel you down there, stomach. But it is my stomach leading those cues, nothing else. So I can push it usually until about 1. Then I have my lunch. I'm feeling satisfied, like reasonably so. And then usually about 4 o'clock, that's my snacky Sally. She is going, I am here. We need to eat something now. And I can't make it through to dinner time. Not personally, that's quite rare. So I will have my snack. Then I'll eat my dinner around 6:30, depending on what Zooms I've got on or what's going on. But usually that's my goal. Slightly earlier on a Thursday because I've got cheerleading, so I don't have a choice. And again, my snacky Sally likes to try and reappear ahead after cheerleading, but it's just genuinely not the best time to eat. I walk through my door about 9 p.m., so I will try and satisfy myself before so that I can digest. But if I'm starving because we've had a big session, I might just have to have a little snack. So, how to reconnect with your hunger cue. So, some practical tips. So, pause before meals, actually do the rating, genuinely sit there and think. So, a bit like I do at that midday, I'm going, how hungry am I? Right, okay, I may be like a 4, but I can stretch that gap a little bit into a 3. Like, I can hold off a little bit longer. Eating slowly, giving yourself, like your body, time to recognize that fullness. So trying to allow 15, 20 minutes, like actually chewing your food properly. So genuinely taking time to eat it. And you will notice, by the way, the lower you get in that scale, if you start to go on a 1, 2, you will force that food down you. And we've all been there where you are absolutely ravenous and you are eating like it's your last meal on death row and that there's going to be no more food on this planet for you. So again, the hunger, like if you allow those levels to drop too low, you are going to smash that food back and your body will not have time to recognize that it is actually full. Limit distractions. So not scrolling, not doing emails while you're eating. Take the time to be present with your meals, with your food, actually taking a moment to go, right, okay, This is my moment to eat and I'm taking it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not distracted doing a million and one things because, again, you want your brain to be able to signal, we are eating right now. We're not eating and doing emails because, again, you can start to change those hunger cues. Protein and fiber, like we just mentioned, they are going to stabilize your blood sugar and they are going to keep that hunger consistent. Checking in with your emotions. How are you feeling? Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling bored? Are you stressed? Are you lonely? And then again, going back to that graph, that table of going, am I eating because I'm genuinely listening to my hunger cues? Or am I eating for one of these other reasons? Like trying to actually bridge that gap and take a moment to recognize and accept it. And if you are eating due to the emotions, the boredom, the hunger, this is what we will want to know about as your coach. And if you can tell us, it's something we can help you work through. If we do not know, we can't help you. And our goal is to coach you. Our goal is to be an active presence in your lives when you need us the most. So, again, there's no shame if it does happen and you can acknowledge it and go, oh shit, this just happened. I'll let my coaches know about this. That's a great thing. That's a really good thing because then we can actually work through it rather than just brush it under the carpet and pretend it didn't happen. But don't fear hunger. It's actually an amazing quality. There is a reason the human body actually leaves clues for you. And if you can work with them and not see it as like it's not a danger sign, it's not a bad thing, it's actually a really good thing. And if you are in a caloric deficit, which a lot of you guys are, you are going to feel it. And again, it's not a bad thing because what it's telling you is, I am in a calorie deficit. If you have no hunger whatsoever, now you can stifle some of the hunger cues by getting all of the pieces that we've talked about right. We can bring that down a little bit. But if you never, ever feel like you've got hunger cues and you feel like the weighing scales are not moving, you're probably not getting it right. There is a piece of that puzzle where you are just not in a calorie deficit. You're not in an energy deficit because you don't have the hunger cues. But when you've spent years and years and years not allowing your body to feel hunger or feel too much hunger, you might have gone the other way where you feared food and then you don't like to, do you know what I mean? You're using them too hard. There's a balancing act. We've got to get that balancing act swinging in your favor and making you feel empowered to make better choices rather than letting it rule your life. So it's a messenger, not actually a problem. So when you're in a calorie deficit, so mild hunger, like I said, is to be expected. It is your body burning stored energy. That's not a bad thing. The goal's not to eliminate it entirely, but to manage it effectively. So again, use it as a feedback loop. Are meals balanced and enough fiber protein? Are you skipping meals or under fueling workouts? Are you sleeping? Are you hydrated properly? As long as we're kind of staying in that 3-7, we're not in a bad place, are we? It's when we're starting to go too far the other way, we need to start to rein it in and readdress how we can get back to that 3-7. So think of hunger like your car's fuel light. So when you get 50 miles left on the clock, it's that kind of consideration. It's not an emergency yet. It's just a signal that we will need to refuel, but you can listen, lean in and go, right, okay, I've got a little bit of miles left on the clock. I don't need to fuel up yet, but I'm acknowledging it. I'm noticing it. And like I say, it's a very, very smart cue to really tune into. I promise I do live and die by hunger cues. That is how you eventually get off tracking and start to genuinely go, right, okay, this makes sense and I can make this work now. So, a challenge for you all. So, over the next week, start to write down your hunger levels before and after each meal. So, where are you on a 1 to 10? Are you genuinely staying in that 3-7? Are you pushing your gaps too great? Are you skipping those meals? Are you not getting the cues that you should be? Are you avoiding through fear or any other reason? Like, that's the kind of thing we want to be able to work with you on. emotional state at the time. Like what state of mind are you in? Can you go back to that graph that's showing physical versus emotional hunger cues? And can you start to draw out the differences and go, this makes fucking sense. This makes sense. And I can actually like apply these learnings, and how long fullness lasted after every meal. Again, it's a great exercise to think, right, okay, that actually satisfied me for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Spencer now needs a wee. Hang on. It's okay. You can have a wee, babe. There you go. Good boy. There you go. Bit like wee cues as well, although you don't want to hold on to your wee for too long. Don't do that. We don't want cystitis. Learn your body's rhythms and patterns, and it is going to it's going to build food freedom. That is ultimately where we want to get everybody to. So it's data, not drama. Same as every single part of this process. It's always data over drama. As long as we can see the data, we can start to make pictures and give genuine guidance. So that stands for everything inside of this program. But manage your portions without tracking forever. You can improve digestion and satisfaction, build long-term sustainability. Like ultimately, that's what Strong Her was always designed to be, that long-term sustainability. The more aware you become, the less reactive your eating will actually become. And when you learn to listen to your body, you will realize it's been guiding you all along. These things are there to serve you rather than to deter you. So let me come out of that, and I'm interested to see this chatty. Um, uh, uh, uh. Sorry, I'm trying to work out where it starts. So, 2, 3, 2, and stopping at 8, 9, 2 to 8, 2 to 3, stopping around 8, 9. So some of you guys are on that, like you're probably just tipping outside of the levels of where we want to be, only just. 1, 2, start, 7, 8, stop. So too low then, Carolyn. That's a great example. Like the fullness side, bang on. But the hunger side, you're right at the bottom end of that where we want to be. 11 a.m. roughly, try to stop after 8. Is that timings of your food? Because I would say they're too late, if that's what we mean. It's hard because I'm obviously coming back, but if you're starting eating at 11 a.m., I don't know if you meant if that is what you mean. Let me know, Nadine, if that is what you mean. It really varies. Some days I don't feel hungry at all, then other days I want to eat everything. Yeah. And that again, that might be coming back to stress and sleep. That might be why some days seem worse than others. Now, some days are easier than others. Some days as well, you're more distracted throughout your day. So, for instance, if you've got meetings, you're chock a block, or if you get into a really good flow state with work, and you'll all know what I mean by that, where you're in flow and you're absolutely killing it, you're crushing it, you're doing whatever project you're working on or whatever that might look like. And then you go, oh shit, time has just flown. And now it's 2 o'clock and I've forgotten to eat. But it'll be the physical hunger cues that start to kick in then. And you'll be able to go, oh, that's what's brought me out of my flow state because my body is now saying, I'm really hungry right now. Now I need to eat. And it's that kind of thing. So if you're in something that's actually taking your attention up, it might take your hunger attention away for a period of time versus when, like me, you're doing your accounts all bastard day. It's a shit job. I'd quite easily just go, oh, well, the fridge looks really exciting right now. Let's go and find out what's going on in there because it's a lot more exciting than this damn zero shit that I've got to get through. So it depends on the jobs you're doing as well. This Zoom is so helpful as I do struggle with boredom, emotional eating, especially recently, but I didn't have anything extra today and I'm proud of myself for that. No cravings today help. This is it. And again, cravings are going to change. Your emotional state is not a fixed state, but trying to use that chart to say, which way am I going here? Is this a physical hunger cue or is this an emotional hunger cue? Learning the difference is paramount. Yes, in terms of hormonal hunger, absolutely. And like I say, that is going to spike at certain points in your menstrual cycle, like majorly. And especially again, perimenopausal women, your menstrual cycle's not always going to be set either. So it's going to be a lot harder to be able to say, right, okay, at this point in the month, because your month can look a little bit different. It's not going to be the same as like let's say a 26 to 30 day average cycle. So again, it can be a little bit harder to assess where your hormones might actually be playing a bit of a wobble around, which can make it a little bit more challenging. But again, coming back to those physical hunger cues and going, right, am I physically feeling this, or am I being driven by my hormones to feel a certain way? Da 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 da. After the gym, I'm nom nom nom. Morning is so much better for a workout. Evening is necessary. If only I can go, but harder to not eat the fridge. And yet, this is it. And again, that's kind of coming back to your routine, what's working well for you. And it can be, it's interesting because this one can go either way, depending on when you eat around your training. So I personally do love to train in the morning and I can time my meals around that absolutely fine. But like I said, cheerleading can throw me out a little bit and I can come home and think, oh, I'm very hungry right now. But it's so late that I have to make a judgment call of whether I want to screw up my digestion or whether I want to satisfy myself so I can actually get to sleep. Sometimes you've got to make a judgment call and your training can impact that cycle of what's going on. So you've got to again try and listen to that. All right, I see. So you're having a snack around 11, and 1 p.m. if I go to the gym, shake at 3 p.m. And that's absolutely fine. Sorry, I didn't know if you meant you were eating your breakfast at 11. And I was thinking, oh, that's a bit too late. We need to bring that earlier. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. I've got no issues with that cycle. And again, it's what works for you, but trying to not eat too close to when we're going to sleep. So we want that kind of 2, 3 hour window so we can digest and then go again the next morning and not leaving breakfast too late so that we're actually again not spiking our hunger up too much in the morning. That's why I wouldn't ever personally try and entertain fasting. Does work for some women, and ultimately all they're doing is creating a calorie deficit by fewer hours, but they are probably going to be sitting in that 1-2 bracket for some long, long periods of time. And then they are just going to be ravenous, and it's going to make their job a lot harder trying to stick to their calories. So I'm not a big lover of fasting. Right. Does anybody, while you've got me, while my throat is just about hanging on in, does anybody have any questions, form checks that you want me to perform in my pajamas? Uh, so they're actually, it made me laugh. They're from oh, what's that shop called? Home Bargains. I thought they were so much fun. I think they might have been, well, I was a bit thrown actually because they have a sticker on the front of them that says like, I think they do like the adult version and a child version. And obviously I don't have children, so I was like scouring underneath to make sure there wasn't like a little mini me version under there, although I could have given it to the dogs. But yeah, they are Home Bargains quite recently as well, to be fair. But I just thought they were fun. They don't go in my dressing gown at all, but they're like fluffy as well. They're like you can't put them in the tumble dry. That's a downside. Is that the word? Yeah, tumble dry. But they are very soft, very warm. I love that. So, any other questions? Anything at all before check-ins, before attacking the week, before crushing it? Mandy, you look like you're going to pass out. Is that through my boredom? She's like, oh, shut up. Get gone already. Funny. It is funny when you guys are on and I can actually see you. So that's why so many of you are not. You're like, no, I don't want to get picked on. Right, it looks like everyone's cooking on gas. All good. Looks like everyone's good. Put a thumbs up if you're all good. Yeah, fabulous. Right. Well, you know where we are. If you need us, don't wait for us to contact you. Always, as you know, contact us anytime that you need us. But hopefully you found that helpful and I will get the re-recording uploaded tomorrow morning. Right. Have a lovely evening and an incredible week, legends. We'll see you shortly. Mwah. Bye.